Hey, another win.
Hello,
Hello, everyone.
yes. Another evening, another win. Only one defeat in our last six. Woohoo! Great way
Yeah,
to kick off the weekend.
here's Richard.
And it would be foolish for us to start without Richard joining down from Knots once he gets himself off mute.
Looking relaxed in that rocking chair. So relaxed that he's still on mute.
Oh no, just wait until I've turned
There
the TV.
we are.
Hello, down from Knots.
Well, that was hard game,
Hmm,
but a very good
I,
performance.
yeah, I was relatively. I was pretty happy. There was a level of hardly any shouting at things, so it must have been just
Intensity, what we've been looking for.
yeah,
exactly.
Matching Leeds' intensity, and also lots of shots out of the box. And guess what? We score.
yes. It's
A
funny, isn't
shot
it?
from outside. No, it's a shot actually from outside the box, which obviously gave us the win in the end. I say can't really complain about the performance. Lots of intensity. Us actually being on the front foot, wanting to go for it. Pedro clearly listened to his mum as well. Bless him. With his mum's request of please shoot some more outside the box, as he was able to a good 3 or 4 times during that. And I think I say ultimately, and keeping my kind of like big spiel brief here. But is a very solid performance across the board. I think again, it's another really, really nice sign that we're heading back towards the free flowing element of it. Obviously, at some point, I think we will score more than one goal in the game. It's just a case of when. Not if, and if we're able to show that and do what we did again tonight, we're just being on the front, but not wanting until right towards the end of wanting to sit back and scamper. It is it's a pretty good sign going forward. And say we're 11 points out of the last possible 18, only one defeat in our last 6 Premier League games. Look at the form table now, we'll be, I think, probably top of it. I think, probably, if not just behind Man City, who are just absolutely flying under Pep. But can't complain. And good, Rui did well in goal again. Defense, probably the biggest iffy bit in terms of trying to ensure we get back. And obviously Pedro obviously looking again a menace coming forward. And then Johnny again having another good game in his comeback, and then obviously a Dharma strike being ferocious, and it obviously caused the problem in ultimately, and I think everybody will feel extremely pleased on this Friday night.
I think you made a good point there about the defence is still not. It looks
Still
a bit
not,
shaky, but
yeah.
the only time I would say I'd be concerned is from set pieces. I don't. If we're attacking and we have to react to a counter, I don't condemn the defence at all for looking a bit shaky. But when everyone's back, I still think we're missing something in there, and I think it's clear what we're missing. We're missing a bit of Bolly, we're missing a bit of Jimenez, and just a bit of being on the front foot defensively. But credit to them. Other than that, I thought they were okay. And you made the point about Rui. Without Rui, we lose that game probably. I think he did really well. I would say, from looking at it as a Wolves fan and not a football expert, I think we matched Leeds. I think we played with an intensity I was delighted to see. I thought Neto was playing like a man who's just read his press and believes it, which in this case was good. I thought Drury played like a player who's read Neto's press and thought, I'm as good as him. Coutinho and Neves were doing as much as they could. Still think we could do with a bit more legs there in that middle area. And I have to say, I think Jose's growing into the team, but I'll be perfectly honest, I don't think he offers vastly more than Silva. I think the criticism Silva's been getting, I'm glad Jose's not getting it because he doesn't deserve it, just as Silva doesn't. But I think we're seeing that if you get the mix right between those two, they're probably going to score. It's going to come from one of them, if not both of them.
Something I've noticed, I was going to say on Silver, while you're on Silver, I do think since he's now coming on like in parks and stuff like that, he looks quicker.
Yeah.
Actually looks quicker and sharper.
He's growing, yeah.
I'm going to say that's probably the pressure being taken off him.
But it's probably also that the player he's coming on with players who, to be fair to Jose, he's done the hard yards. Yeah, there's a lot of like digging in and dropping back and making the defence think one way, and then Silva changes it a little bit, and it could be the other way around. Players who come off often don't get the credit for the work they've done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's why I don't think you should jump on Willem at all, because he's doing the work. It will come for him. It's so easy to sit back as a 56-year-old fat white male and say, "Oh, he should be scoring the handball." That's not how it works. He's come from a different league, different country in a terrible time, and it's going to take time to adapt. And he's doing the work, and that's exactly the same as Silva, at Nori, Marcel, keep on getting his name wrong, Vitinha. They've all come and they've had to adapt, and you got to give them a bit of slack, and he's coming to in winter, which where was he before? Real Sociedad. I'm not sure where that is, but I'm pretty certain it's warmer, sunnier, and generally
Sociedad's in Spain.
I think it's the Atlantic Coast Sociedad. I think.
Okay, up north,
Or am I thinking of Betis?
I'm thinking I think Celta Vigo's up there, and so's the other one, which I've been to the place and I can't remember what it's called. The Celta Vigo, and there's the other one up there. Oh,
Santander.
God.
No, that's France.
Santander's further along, yeah. And Bilbao's on that coast. Anyway,
yes.
Credit to the team. I'm delighted for the team and for us, obviously, as fans. I'm delighted that they've come through this awful patch. I was saying, just getting to the point where if things don't change, they have to change. I'm going to say that. I never thought, and I said I am concerned about relegation in the last match we lost. But, that was as far as it went. And you can see why people were concerned, but they've turned it around. They've turned it around, and it shows that you've got to have faith sometimes. We have little faith, we shall be punished for our sins type thing. You have faith, and we know we need to improve, but we're talking about improving to be a team challenging for Europe, and I don't believe we're a million miles away. I mean, if we can keep hold of Neto and Traore, or if you get rid of Traore, if he's sold, you've got to get somebody as good or better, and that's hard. It might be a player.
Yeah.
So let's not talk about who we're going to sell. Let's talk about just who do we bring on and who do we develop with potential. I think it's like everybody. It's like every game. I don't think the players once haven't tried. It's just that it hasn't gelled. And tonight was you're matching them for intensity, and we won. And it was a hard game. Leeds could have won that easily. Let's be honest.
With the chances they had, certainly, and I think a couple of them we did get away with. Clearly, Bamford's goal was a very decent finish. So he obviously looked like he was offside by the skin of his knee.
I'm gonna have to step in there because that's just the awful bloody commentary coming up with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
the ball wasn't
to be honest,
then, was it?
No, where that VAR still that they were showing, the ball hadn't been played at that point.
Yeah, I noticed
it's ridiculous to even they were going, this might be overturned. I was like, he hasn't even kicked it.
Yeah, I found that offensive, to be honest. I found that really offensive because when the ball went back to him, I think they're just showing it now. Although no, they're not. And that's the problem with VAR. If your frame rate is, if your frame rate is 120, which is the fastest cameras they've got, that's going to be 0.08 of a second. Somebody can move 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 centimeters easily at walking pace in that time. So when somebody's running, if you're not that accurate, the margin of error, it's ridiculous. The system does not have that accuracy. And and as you said, that was probably the frame before the ball was kicked. If you went for the frame after, is a country mile offside.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just shows how ridiculous these drawing lines on VAR is. But fair play to Leeds, that they shouldn't be ruining that, because they had more than enough chances to win. It was unfortunate for them, great for us. Respect to Leeds.
That's what I was going to say. That's the bit that concerned me. Was like you said, on the ball on the floor and Leeds attacking us, no concern. No, it just didn't really bother me. But every time anything was put in, like a set piece, long ball into the box, anything from coming over, I don't know what some of them were thinking. I mean, Dendonka's side was criminal for it, absolutely criminal for it. It was usually his side, unfortunately. I've come to the conclusion he doesn't like the ball. He doesn't want to be, because he was all right. He seemed to be all right intercepting and putting the ball, getting rid of the ball. But anything that came into him, he just seemed to just lose his marker altogether. And you're like, well, you can't do that. You just cannot do that. He switches off. It
looked
off.
like he was zonal without making a decision to defend the rest of the position. But I do think defence, and I've thought for a while, and it's not that I think any player's bad. I just think it's an area I would spend money on. And we've said before, if you throw Diaz in that team, wow, that's the difference. And credit to the defence, they kept them out. They played well.
I say, Brett, he was intercepting stuff and bringing stuff out pretty well. I don't want to round on him particularly, because in other aspects he was playing really well. But my God, he was just, anything coming over. I mean, those 2 free kicks that they had where they put it to the far post. I mean, dear God, and they were lining up for them. Yeah. And then, okay, the first time it happens, you go, okay. Second time, no, that's criminal. It shouldn't be. That shouldn't happen another. It shouldn't happen like 5 minutes later.
Indeed. The first one we certainly got away with Liam, where Liam Cooper, if he planted it anywhere but where Rui Patricio was, that would have gone in the back of the net, and it would have probably been a completely different game. I'm sure Nuno will not be happy in terms of that particular aspect of our performance, and he'll have every right to be able to feel, a bit annoyed in terms of our defending at set pieces, because at some point we'll give some more crucial goals away, and it would just cheese everybody off, and rightfully so. So I hope that is one thing which we double up on training in the next few weeks, and be like, when it comes to these things, be sharp, be marked, be sharp, be ready to don't stand there, or I think one of them in the second half, the guy came round the far post. It was Cooper again, came round the far post and saved it. Patricio saved it. We got away with a few. We certainly got away with a few.
I would say one thing though, but in our big losing run, and one of the points I would make in that time was we were losing through individual errors a lot of the time. We lacked the intensity that would win us the game, but we lost the games due to individual mistakes. Whereas today we won the game because we had the intensity, and we didn't lose it because the mistakes we made weren't punished. So it's a question of evening out, I think. But you're quite right to point out that if we want to be consistent, then it doesn't matter if it's a Harry Maguire basic defender. If he can do that job or in that position, it doesn't matter. That's what you need. You've got to cut out. It's bread and butter defending. You can play the ball as much as you like after you've got the tick in the box for the bread and butter defending.
Yeah.
Yep.
Defense for the defender needs to be able to defend first and foremost. That's the most important thing. I mean, it was a criticism I never understood that people had of Bennett. He could defend. And they would complain that, well, he can't play the ball out. He could. He actually could.
He could, yeah.
He wasn't that bad at it.
And at set pieces, he was not bad too.
Yeah, and he was a decent defender. And it's a shame that I personally think he would have been still okay at the moment. Okay, maybe not first pick, but certainly someone to come in and cover.
Well, on the right now, that'd be a better option than Dendoncker.
But that's gone stuff anyway. So
it's a funny one because it's like any player, unless you're paying the really big bucks, is they're going to have a weakness.
Oh yeah.
And the one thing with Bennett, and you can go and watch the FIFA kind of card reveals, is pace. In fairness, who was it he challenged? Was it Hazard against Chelsea? He did a great tackle. It wasn't Hazard, was it?
Yes. Someone like I remember. I know the one you mean.
Yeah.
That was after we went 1-0 down, wasn't it? I think they were pushing to get a second one, and then that kind of changed the game.
Yeah. I do feel that Cody's done a fair few blocks and things like that as well. And I just think that we need to look at that area most, for me. I've never thought scoring. I think if we can commit more players in attack, which you can do if you're more confident of your defence, especially if you've got some legs in midfield, and we have been. We, even though we didn't get much penalty area action because we still weren't committing enough players in. We were dominating that area around their box by shooting, and that makes them close us down more. And if you've got that extra player driving in, even if the goalkeeper spills it, you'll still get chances. But I think everything's boding well if we get the defensive upgrades, and that might just be one defender. It might be.
I think we need two. I genuinely think we need two. But like you say, if it's one ready to play, or you'd expect ready to play, so let's say 24, 25-year-old centre half, decent. You're going to have to spend some wedge on them, and then supplement them with another centre half who is a young up and comer. That would be good for me because Bolly
size Cody, they're going to not play every game as they get older.
No.
They'll have the experience to bring those other defenders on. Cody's perfect for that kind of educating a player. Kilman remembers young. I think Kilman's got legs.
Kilman's 23, 24, I think. Yeah.
So
he's one, and his position's good. I think that side is a lot more well served.
Exactly. Just to say as well that we are the first side to complete a league double over Marcelo Bielsa in the top flight since both Montpellier and PSG defeated his Marseille side home and away in Ligue 1 in 2014-15. Just seen that on social media. So that's the first time in 6 years since Bielsa side went down to losing twice to the same team.
I have to make this point here about Bielsa. Why all the hype? I'm not seeing it. And to be honest, BT Sport, I really don't need to see every 30 seconds a cutaway of Marco
It was BT
Bielsa.
Sport Leeds. It was BT Sport Leeds United tonight instead of BT Sport.
I don't need to see him every other time something's not happening in the game. It's like him pottering around his bloody area.
And him looking absolutely distraught.
Oh,
I think you're being naive, though. It comes down. It's like we had it for 2 years with the narrative of, it's about creating a narrative for people who aren't really fans.
Really was.
It keeps them engaged. I know, Leeds fans know. Well, Leeds fans don't, apparently. If you speak to them, they honestly thought they were going to win the Premier League this year. But most football fans know that you if you start believing your own hype, as we've seen with the rubbish we've had on the mix, if you believe your own hype and you think you're entitled, bad things will happen because you're only there and this is true of every team in the Premier League, doesn't matter how much money they make on their results. It's easy to get those results if your budget allows you to have a squad of 30 players, each costing more than most clubs can pay for their star player. But you're only there because of your performances. Yeah, the Bielsa loving will, if he doesn't kick on next year, will very quickly turn into, a different.
It will turn
narrative.
sour.
Well, there'll be a different narrative. It's whether they decide to turn on him or whether Swansea's new whatever, or whatever it's going to be. And the key for Wolves is, and for us, is we just want our games. We just want to win our games. And if they start paying attention to us again, whoopee-doo. You take it as a pinch of salt. Hopefully you don't react to it because it's a narrative. It's rubbish. It's meaningless.
Indeed. Yeah.
It's what you can't beat those days. I only went to Braga abroad, but you can't beat those days. My daughter who was here got pepper sprayed in the face, and she was. It was a very traumatic time for her. She had a panic attack and everything, and but it wasn't an experience. My other daughter and my son, who are season tickets holders with me, I've had great times with them, and my other daughter, who's been to the odd match when we can. Great times. That's why we're fans.
How many children are there?
Three kids.
Nice.
I'm not a fan for BT. I'm a fan, and what I value is what it's given me with my family. It's priceless, absolutely priceless, and that's what we should remember. Doesn't matter what BT say, it's a bit.
Oh no, I think it was as like you say though. It is for the benefit of the football fashionista types. Oh, he's the name that they're all talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he's crouching by his.
He's crouching on his knees in his area, thinking, "What the hell do we do?"
And that's fine before the game, after the game, but during the game, I just want to see the game, not cutaways to some manager every 2 seconds.
In fairness,
Exactly.
there was enough going on the pitch. It wasn't like the average Wolves game 4 or 5 games ago, where let's find the seagull eating some food.
Yeah.
Indeed. Just to say, Nuno has his smile back, by the way, in the post-match interview. I've just seen the photos up of him being looking quite gleeful tonight.
Look, the sun's going to come out.
Absolutely, to say only one defeat in our last 6, 11 points out of a possible 18. We've found this February is our purple patch of the season and beaten all February in all 4 games. I think 3 wins and a draw. So it's we've definitely got our mojo. We've definitely got our mojo back in the dressing room, back in no doubt the staff, and keep getting it back to basics, I think. And just really drilling down and be like, do what you did before. And we're doing so, and it does feel extremely, extremely satisfying tonight. And again, within the last few weeks, it is a big step. These are good steps forward back to where we want to be. I think.
Who's your man of the match then, Cash?
Ooh, good question. I will go with Rui. For his excellent display and goal. Again, made himself look really big. Again, made a good 3 or 4 very important saves, of which, with the way in which Leeds were good coming forward, and as Bamford showed with his clinical finish, I'm sure which will no doubt impress as well Gareth Southgate, who was at Molineux tonight. Certainly think if without Rui, then it could have been a different story. And say he did the job tremendously well, and that was his 100th Premier League game alongside Connor Cody, and it was a very good performance. Obviously, I also will have to say Pedro ran his heart out, absolutely tremendous. Obviously, smashing goal from Adama. I said on the mix, shame it bounced off the keeper's back. And then a couple of well, if it didn't bounce off the keeper's back, it wouldn't have gone in. But saying shame it bounced off the keeper's back because of it being an absolutely thundercracker of a hit. Brilliant ferocity again from Adama. So very, very similar to Palace in the Cup in round 3, where he found the space and then just launched it. that's what he needs to do more often. And I think again, also Johnny with his 60 minutes or so, how long he was on the pitch for, was very neat in it. And I think whenever Raul comes back, it will probably be a very similar kind of thing to Johnny being reintegrated into the squad, knowing the severity of such an injury. So certainly those three get the shout-outs, but Rui in goal, doing his job tremendously again. And yeah, for 100 Premier League games, not bad, sir.
Fair play. Richard?
Well, I completely agree with what you said there, except I'm going to go, and this is not because I think he was the best player for Wolves, but I think for the way he's been playing, and doing the things that I personally want to see, I'm going to go for Adama because he's had a lot of stick. But he made that goal came solely from Adama, from the right on the touchline, cutting in, taking the shot. Now, in fairness, Neto did that as well, but I think Neto's had enough good press to kind of do that. And I'm going to justify my decision with Nuno's words from an interview I saw him do a while ago, where he said it's a goalkeeper's job is to make saves, and we're very grateful, Rui. So I'm going to go for Adama simply because I think we sometimes don't appreciate him as much as we probably should. Everything else you said, Cash, can't disagree with you. But just for that, and to be different, I'm going to go for Adama.
No, fair enough.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be even more different.
Ooh.
Because Cash right, Richard both right, and all those players done great. I thought Moutinho he's one of his best halves in the first half. I have to say, I've been critical of him, but he was very, very good in the first half. Yeah, dropped off a little in the second, but okay. He didn't drop off as much as he was in some of the games in the past, so that's good. But I am going to go for actually a similar sort of reason as Rich did go for Traore. I'm going to go for Semedo because I thought he had absolutely fantastic game. He defended well and he got up and he was creating an awful lot of stuff going forwards.
Can't argue
Jamie hit the ball straight at the keeper on his chance. Yeah. But even so, I thought I go with him because I
how could how can I forget to mention Nelson actually tonight? Particularly, it was a good chance, decent save. He could put it, if he aimed it towards the far corner, I think that would have gone in. But at least again he was able to craft those chances actually and make use of the right hand side really, really well. So again, it was it helps to all of these good performances have obviously helped the team significantly tonight.
Well, one other thing I was going to say on the chance with some of those chances is that chance he had there. Something that I've noticed tonight is I was actually critical of that ball into Semedo because if it had been just side-footed across the box, Adama was there in space with no one around him. And then later on, Neto had a shot where Willian was even more space.
He was given the freedom of the Black Country for a second.
I think.
But what was the good thing about it is the fact that they were there, and that's what I'm encouraged by is the fact that there was actually for once other options. It's very rare that you actually look on a Wolves attack where you go, oh, you could have passed it to him, because normally it's only one or two people. But this time there's actually other options. So you could actually turn around and go, why didn't you pass it to him? But that's the encouraging side, is that there is the other options there.
I did think with that William chance where Neto, he either played it very early or the only other ball on was just in front of the defenders. And for that ball, William had to make the run to show Neto was on. He was he's just a bit too static in the penalty box at the moment. But if he has that a bit more dynamism about him, the balls will be there. I just feel that I agree with you. The point we've got in a lot more players in the box than we usually do.
Yeah.
And even though we're not overwhelming the box like other teams do with 4 or 5, when we get 2 or 3 in there, we look very effective and dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think that's a testament. What really grinds my gears is this criticism
What a
of our
phrase!
strikers.
What a phrase!
This criticism of our strikers. If you put them in any other team where the ball's played in and you overload, they will score a hatful. We're so cautious in the past. That's why we don't.
Yeah.
That's why they're not scoring.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with them. They're just, in fact, their work rate defensively and what they have to do defensively, I think, is astounding. Yet the problem's further back to me every day of the week. And you look at. They've obviously been told you've got a bit more freedom, and look what happens when they do that. Traore, Neto driving in, it's fantastic, And the centre forward, you realise how tough that job is because that centre forward has to react very quickly to how those 2 players are going to move the ball in. It's not going to be a traditional cross or ball into the 6-yard box because we're not invoking damage pressure. You've got to be quite clever, and I think that's why Jose and Fabio will come good if you keep on playing them.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the striker's role in the Wolves team isn't as such to be the goal scorer. I don't think. I think he's there to hold the ball up and lay it off. That's the general.
Yeah. It's a much tougher role. It's a more technical role than just putting the leather in the net type thing.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the song that we're meant to know from Elgar, but you've got to see how Nuno's trying to play, and I don't think we appreciate how good Jimenez was at it. Defense through to attack, and I don't think we appreciate how absolutely knackered he was either. I think our drop off was largely due. Because we actually have scored more goals per game since he was injured, which again, mind blows people. But the point was, I just think he was worn out. I think it's absolutely worn out. And if this kind of terrible injury has one positive, I hope he comes back refreshed and raring to go, because he can have a phenomenal end to his career.
I think he will. I genuinely think, as long as there isn't any sort of underlying sort of psychological thing, which would be understandable.
Yeah.
If there's none of that, I think he'll come back really strong, because he'll have a real fire to get back.
And he's remember when we got him, he'd come out of the World Cup, hadn't he? Was it World Cup? And he's more or less played football continuously until he's injured. He's played more in the last, since he joined Wolves, than I think he has in the rest of his career, more or less. So I hope he comes back stronger. I really do think, with the changes we know we want, and I don't think it's backup striker, but I think with Jimenez, I think that's the hardest position to fill, because it's not like you can just go out and buy a traditional striker. You need somebody to do more, and I think Fabio is probably the perfect person, to be honest. I really do.
That's probably why they've been tracking him for so long.
Yeah,
it's that kind of player.
Yeah, I think so. Whereas if you put pace in midfield and you put pace and a better defender, I don't think we're a million miles away. I really don't.
Yeah, the defence. I think the summer we'll see. I'm going to say my hot take here is 2 centre halves and a midfielder.
Yeah,
I don't think we need anyone. As long as we keep everybody.
That's
I'm not 100%. I'm not 100% sure that we need any attacking players.
Yeah.
If we say, let's say that we end the season with the ones we've got at the moment. So I include Willian in that. I include Silva in that, and then with Jimenez coming back as well. I think if you have those 3, then that's all you need. There.
I think so.
You might might need another winger just to cover injuries, but I'm sure we've got under 23s who are coming through who could potentially start to drop in there. Shabani is the one who I think could potentially maybe in the sort of set, if we're going to go to a 4-2, 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1, yeah, 4-2-3-1. If we're going to move to that, then we'll probably need someone like Shabani or someone like that stepping up to make the numbers, because obviously you're going to get injuries. I suppose that includes and Coutinho. If we do end up signing him as well, then he's going to be obviously another one in that role. I think we've got a couple of other under 23s. I can't remember. I haven't watched them.
As well.
Taylor Perry or whatever his name is, I think. There's certainly a few knocking around in our younger cohort who I think have been all right this season from cashing in the scores in some of these under 23 games. But yeah, I think I think a kind of not a rebuild of defence, but an evolution in the defence will no doubt hopefully be the club's big priority in the summer, because as I say, Cody, Bolly, Dendoncker, Seiss, and all those they've done a tremendous job in these 3 years. But I certainly do, absolutely agree that if we want to really, really take that next step and be like, we are challenging here, and we want to be challenging, then a couple of more centre halves, and then obviously another box-to-box midfielder who can run with the pace and probably I think kind of slowly replace Moutinho would I think put us in a very, very nice position going forward, because as you say, as showed tonight, we do have the attacking menace, and we do get forward when given the chance to. Even if we only scored once.
I think we only actually really need the one midfielder though. I think because I think to bridge that time, because I've got big hopes for Otasowie. And I'm hoping that he will step into that role eventually. And I think it's to bridge the gap with Moutinho coming to the end of his career and having a ready-made sort of player to go straight into that midfield next to Neves, and then Otasowie can start to come through. And to be honest, another signing in a similar vein to Moutinho from 3 years ago would be probably the right signing. But you don't often just wander around and pop 5 million and get a international class, world class type midfielder. So it'd be nice if we did, but we'll see what we can do.
Never quite know. It'll only be a few months before everything kicks off again, transfer wise, no doubt. How quick this time has gone by.
So next game then is
Newcastle United. That's a shocking Geordie accent, but
I was going to say they moved to Wales.
It was bordering on racism, to be honest.
It was, apologies if anyone is from Tyneside and I may have offended you. But Newcastle away, which has been an interesting we haven't lost to Newcastle yet since we were promoted. Trying to think, yes, we haven't lost to them yet. The last 3 games have been draws, I think. Yes, they have. All 1-1 draws. Should be an interesting one. No, they are. Well, they're now 17th. They're obviously one place above the trap door, and Fulham. Fulham, I think, are most likely of the bottom 3 to get out of trouble. If they win, if Fulham won this weekend and Newcastle didn't, then obviously the gap's reduced to 3 points. So obviously for Steve Bruce's men, things begin to get very, very hairy. And they'll no doubt want to play. They'll no doubt want to play for their lives, but it seems like they've got no confidence anywhere at the minute.
Well, I'm just looking at the table here, and Newcastle's form is lose 1, win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1. So they're due a win 1.
Yes. Will that be this weekend? That's the question. I don't know. I forgot who they play this weekend. But I personally, if we just live up, if we just continue to stand up we showed tonight in terms of the intensity, wanting to get forward, creating chances for ourselves and actually having a go, then I think we'll be okay. And I would say I'm going to predict a 2-0 win for Wolves. I don't know who will score, but I think if we can take that kind of intensity up the Tyneside and really go at it, then just as we did earlier on during tonight, then I think it will be another 3 points on the board. Of course, Newcastle, a very interesting place to go, and 1-1 draws in the last 2 games against away at St James's, if my mind serves me correct. So, no, it wasn't 2-1 draws last time. Of course, the first year was the 2-1 victory, and then the last season was 1-1, which was October 2019. Goodness me! But it should be an interesting one, and I think we'll do the job. Perks of time is creeping in there.
It's one of those games which, being a cynical old Wolves fan, I think, we don't want to be too confident, but I do think you're right. It's one of those we can win. I think the danger, if Newcastle are near the trapdoor, is that you'll get a reaction from them. So a win would probably, for them this weekend, would probably help us. I don't know who they've got, but I do think that might have a bearing on the game. If we play with this intensity that we did tonight, and
they have Man United on Sunday.
All right, they're not going to win that. So I think we're going to have to make sure the defence is really up to snuff. If that's the case, then I agree we can win 2-0. Wouldn't be unrealistic, especially if we go ahead, which if it's going to be 2-0, we'll have to. I think they'll probably throw caution to the wind. San Maximum, I think, is a dangerous player. I think Almiron can cause damage, and Wilson only needs a half chance. So there is danger there, so the defence has to be up to snuff. But I also think they'll throw bodies forward, and that means that with pace, we could see some great counter-attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'd be a very different game to today, but it's essential that we score and then remember to defend.
And we've got 8 days. And first of all, we've got 8 days rest between now and then. And then secondly, I wouldn't mind St Maximin down at Molyneux, knowing when he's on his day, so Elan St Maximin is good.
Yeah,
he's good.
Him. And he seems to have that great attitude as well. He seems to be one of those players where you think, I can trust you to do the job. If we did sell Traore, I'm not saying we'd be able to afford St Maximin, but I do like him, and I think he's a player who's only going to get better. I do rate him a lot, and I've got a very soft spot for Newcastle, and for that reason, I'm kind of always a bit wary of them. But we can win that game. There's no doubt about it, and I think 2-0 is not unrealistic. I would think it's going to. For me, it's a game that William will score in. And it might be somebody unexpected like Semedo or Johnny or Matinho again or Neves. I think it'll be one of those where you will be looking for Traore and Neto to create and somebody else to finish. So yeah, I'll go with 2-0 for that. I just hope we can do the business.
And David?
5-1 to Wolves.
Ooh.
Traore and Neto show. They will be basically driving in from the wing, absolutely causing mayhem, and we will absolutely destroy them.
Yeah. Wow.
Now
after going one down.
No,
of course you're going to say that.
Yeah. At this point, you know what I say? Can I have some of what you've been having? But knowing that you've had COVID, I think I'll pass on that.
Yes.
It's COVID brain. That's what it is. No, I like these sort of predictions. Yeah, I'm going to go that that goal that Traore, despite not being attributed it, but I think that will spur him on, and he will just start cutting in and firing more and more shots. Same with Neto, because he's going to do that anyway. Which of course will give people like Willian Jose the opportunity to pick up the pieces and stuff like that. So I expect 5-1.
Okay.
Well, and this is after Newcastle beat Man United this week. because they'll beat Newcastle this week. Newcastle will win this week, and then they'll be overconfident when they play Wolves, and then we'll just basically
And then
steamroll
we'll
them.
only be 10 points off Man United with 12 games to go.
There you go.
American dream. And on that bombshell.
Yes. So well, I think with that we could end it there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us, Cash and Rich.
As
We'll
always.
be here after the game on Saturday, I believe.
What time is that on Saturday?
Game. That's a late one as well. So we might even be blessed by our American friend Alex, who can should be able to join us. That's about it, really. We'll see you then. If you want to join us, you're very welcome. We're always looking for anyone to come and join us. We're a very nice lot. We're very forgiving, and that's about it. So see you all.
See you about 10 o'clock on Saturday next week.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
Bye.